So, this is kind of funny. This is what spawned this particular off the cuff today. We sell little Rose Tico toys at my little retail job that I work on. I can't really see it because of the focus and shit. But I saw this and I just finished beating Star Wars Fallen Order on Steam, like a PC the other day. And no, sorry, I did it a couple weeks ago, and it was fucking amazing. And when I saw this toy, it kind of got me thinking about an old theory about Rose Tico from The Last Jedi to The Rise of Skywalker. Now, I know I'm like, ages and ages and ages late on my opinions of the movie, but, I will say I thought Rise of Skywalker was fun to watch, but that's not why you're here, right? So the video, my off the cuff, was the missed opportunity of Rose Tico, and I mean that. So I saw The Last Jedi twice in theaters. I saw it because it came out in 2017, end of 2017, right? So I had to double check to make sure I wasn't going crazy. But so The Last Jedi came out. So let me rephrase that. So I deployed in 2017 and got back at like the very end of November, very beginning of December, right? So we had a little bit of time that we had to wait before we were able to go on block leave to go home. And I had went and seen The Last Jedi with a buddy of mine who I was in the army with. And I thought it was okay. I thought it wasn't, I didn't think it was anything super bad. So I was like, okay, it's great. I didn't think it was that great. I thought it was okay. And then I saw it again with my older brother, because like our tradition, except for the last Star Wars movie, unfortunately, our tradition was we would always go see a Star Wars movie every Christmas when they would come out. That was like our big thing. And then all the hate became from Last Jedi. And again, I'm not that big of a Star Wars fan anymore where it's that important for me to argue about it. But if I do have an opinion about it, I'll talk about it and kind of give my 2 cents on what I think they could have done. So clearly there's a lot of people that dislike The Last Jedi, and there's a lot of people that will swear by it. I actually was dating a girl at the beginning of this year that literally thought it was the greatest movie ever made. So, take from that what you will. And it got me thinking, what could they have done that they could have taken from The Last Jedi and put it into The Rise of Skywalker to make things good, right? Now, my theory was actually with this one right here, Rose Tico. Because if you look at some of the ways that she was acting in The Last Jedi, a lot of people said she acted out of character and was wrong and everything. And that might be true to a certain degree, like she was a bad written character or whatever. But I think Kelly Marie Tran, I believe that's the name of the actress, is a pretty decent actress. And, given the right script and everything, she could do a good job. But the way I thought what they were going to do with Rose Tico, and I had an old channel a while ago that I actually did make a video about this. My theory with her was that it was all intentional, right? And the reason why was I legit thought, because let's back up to The Force Awakens. The Force Awakens, they talked about how there was like the Knights of Ren and Kylo Ren, and I had assumed that they were building these guys up kind of as like the equivalent of like the Jedi Knights, but for like the dark side or the First Order, right? And I could talk into what I think they should have done with The Force Awakens to kind of change that up to make it better, but that's a whole nother topic and I digress. I legitimately thought that the twist in The Rise of Skywalker was that she was going to be one of the Knights of Ren, because at the ending of The Last Jedi, correct me if I'm wrong, the one redheaded guy from the First Order who ended up becoming like the spy for the rebels in The Rise of Skywalker, if I remember correctly, in Last Jedi, he said one of them was a spy, and I thought it was going to be her, that was going to be the twist, because, now hear me out, it's crazy, but this is why I thought I'm gonna open this up while I'm doing. I've got fucking like OCD or something, and yeah, I've already got a what's it called? A fucking stutter occasionally. I almost don't want to open this, but I kind of want to now because it's here. But anyway, so with Kelly Marie Tran's character, the way no, I'm not gonna open. I'm gonna keep it here. I'm just gonna stop. I'm gonna stop fidgeting and fucking around. Okay, so with the way she set everything up, right? So one thing in particular which made me think that maybe she was a villain was at the very ending when she stops Finn from sacrificing himself, right? Now you can look at that from two perspectives. One is that it was stupid, it was dumb, it was written bad, whatever, okay. And maybe hindsight's 2020, it wasn't the smartest decision, but at the same time, right? My thought process is, what if she is a Knights of Ren and she's playing the long game? Now my dog's over here. I don't know if you can hear him, but he's... What she was doing was like... You could argue two different things. Like my theory was, if she was a Knights of Ren character, or Knights of Ren, one of the members of the Knights of Ren, her whole thing was she was trying to stay under deep cover, right? Now, because she didn't know if the rebels were going to get away, right? Now, granted, they were beaten down so badly, but what if they do get away? So maybe she's thinking in her head, okay, we can't let him take down this part, because if they take that down, then we can't get in the base. So if they get into the base and kill rebels, well, she wins either way. If they successfully get away, well, they still don't know that she's a bad guy, right? So that's why I was thinking, like, okay, maybe her attacking, because how did they get back without getting shot? Okay, that's a huge distance to cross, and there's okay, yeah, Luke shows up, right? Okay, I get that, but at the same time, like, really? Like, that's the only excuse why they didn't just pound the shit out of both of them with lasers? I would have. Like, if I would have seen, you know, a rebel cruiser, I'm like, you know, I'd have taken them out, like, fast. But anyway, I digress. So that's what I was thinking, like, okay, maybe she is a Knights of Ren. For one of the members of the Knights of Ren. Because they at that point, they hadn't talked about them. They hadn't shown up. And again, at this point, you gotta put yourself back then. At The Last Jedi, we hadn't seen the Knights of Ren, you know, be basically like the throwaway villains of that third movie. At that point, they'd just been like whispered and rumored about, and they hadn't really talked too much about them. So there was this big buildup. So if we back up all the way, right? Now, at the very beginning of The Last Jedi, Rose Tico's sister dies, right? And she dies sacrificing herself and everything, right? So my thought process with that is that character was still real, right? But I was thinking, like, what if it wasn't actually her sister? I mean, it's not out of the realm of impossibility. Like, all she needs is a necklace that's similar to that. Or maybe it was like her best friend, or like a friend she met when she was a spy, and she gives it, like, oh, it's my sister. Oh no, she died. I mean, they're villains, you know, they're gonna lie. They don't need to tell the truth. So I was thinking, like, okay, what if she never was a sister? You know, it's crocodile tears, you know, like, oh, I'm so sad my sister died. Oh, but in reality, she's just getting closer and closer to Rey and Finn and all these different people. So that one made me think, like, maybe it's all a fucking ruse. It potentially could all be just a giant ruse. And it's just sad that they literally didn't do a damn thing with her in 3. She was literally just like, oh, I'm gonna hang out with Princess Leia in part 3, and that's it. I feel like, and this probably would have pissed off a lot of people, because I know, like, Rose Tico wasn't exactly a very liked character. I thought she had potential, as if they went the route of she was actually like a Knights of Ren. But what if, because, you know, unfortunately Carrie Fisher passed away, but I was thinking, like, what if Rose was the one that, you know, took Carrie Fisher out, you know, Princess Leia, and that was what was revealed to be her as the Knights of Ren, right? And she almost at that point could be almost unredeemable, but then have Finn redeem her in it, because you could still have her be a good guy and become redeemed at the end. And then you could do the fake out with, you know, because Kylo Ren, you know, spoiler alert, you know, I kind of talked a little bit spoilers and whatnot from the movie, but major spoiler, it's not if you haven't seen it for some reason. Kylo Ren becomes a good guy again, like he becomes, and I actually, that part was cool. Like, I was like, oh, that's pretty dope, actually. And they could have done the whole thing where Rose, you could have still saved Rose, right? You know, because you built up the thing where she was a spy, because look at Lando. Lando technically sold them out in Empire, and literally in like 30 seconds, he was back to being like a baby face, a good guy, right? So, you know, it's not impossible that they could have turned her into a villain at the very beginning of the movie and then turned her back into a good guy by the ending of it. I still think it's entirely possible. They would have at least done something with her rather than, hey, just hang out. We'll call you when the movie's over. Like, to me, that's what it felt like. So I do think that it was a missed opportunity to do a lot with that character. And I really genuinely think, had they had tried to do something like that, yeah, it would have been a little bit different and probably would have made a lot of people angry. But you know what? I think in the long run, it would have been the better bet, because you would have this badass, like, fucking Knight of Ren that's there, that, because then you would have the parallels, right? You'd have Rey, and then you'd have Rose Tico. Okay, if you don't want to make her a fucking Jedi, you don't have to make her a Jedi, but I think that would have been cool, because then you would have had both the dark and the light representation there, right? Like, it would have been cool as fuck. But I don't know, man. That's just my thoughts on that. I think they could have done a lot more with Rose Tico. One of the other bits that I was thinking about right before, because I was going to end the video, but then I was thinking, like, okay, well, you know, they could do the whole gambling thing where they went to the gambling planet. again, her entire thing is sabotage. So maybe it's like, oh, we'll go to this gambling planet. We'll find a guy. We'll do this. We'll do that. Because I feel like if you just made Rose a bad guy, it would solve a lot of the plot holes in The Last Jedi that are there. Now, again, people will argue that there's none. Okay, that's fine. I'm not here to argue that. I'm just saying from like a different perspective how I think the films could have been ultimately better received. Because even the people that really love Last Jedi, from what I was reading up before I started doing this off the cuff, a lot of them didn't like The Rise of Skywalker. Nobody really liked it. I think I'm like the only person that legitimately thought it was okay. Man, because again, sabotage, her entire thing. If she's a spy, she doesn't give a shit like what she's got to do. Oh, we're going to go to this fucking casino planet. We're going to go do this. We're going to go do that. That's keeping them occupied, because ultimately it didn't lead to anything. Okay, they got the gambling, rambling got to get there, but it was ultimately just a trap anyway. So to me, it's like, they could have done that. And then the guy could have literally been alluding to Rose Tico when he was like, oh, there's a spy among them, because he met her. Like, he knows who she is. So it would make, not Finn, you know, everyone's thinking like, oh, it's Finn because he was a stormtrooper before. No, it could literally just be Rose Tico. She's standing right there, but he knows that she's under deep cover. Hence why she's not getting blasted at the, you know, drop of a hat or anything like that. Because it's one of Kylo Ren's buddies. If I remember correctly, I don't think Kylo Ren and her cross paths like at all in the film. I could be wrong, but you know, you'd have to watch it again, because I'm probably not going to watch it anytime soon. But I don't think that they cross paths, but you know, correct me if I'm wrong. So I feel like, man, it could have been fucking something special. It really could have been something special. You could have literally had her show up as the villain at the very beginning of the movie, then you have this overarching plot, so you could still have Kylo Ren die and Rey become, you know, a Skywalker or whatever at the very end, and you could still have her get redeemed by giving Finn something to do, because I'm sorry, Finn really didn't do shit in the third one either. Like, even the actor's gone on record saying that he doesn't feel like the character did shit, and I kind of don't disagree with him. Like, he was just kind of there. And again, maybe he really didn't need to in the plot. I mean, I'm not the writer, so I'm not going to argue either way, but that could have been something good. You could have had Finn bring her back from the dark side. You know, you don't have to expand on it too much. Save that for, you know, comic books or video games or whatever, but you could literally do that. Or keep her a villain and have her show up later on. Then you have another badass villain you could utilize later in your comics, your video games, your movies, your TV shows. Like, what are you doing? So, I don't know. This is just my little off the cuff. Because I guess I just finished Fallen Order, and I thought that was amazing, especially being an EA game. Like, I don't play a lot of EA games, but I know the controversies with them. And then, like I said, seeing this toy, finishing Fallen Order, and I was like, yeah, I think I want to talk about this again. This is pretty cool, though. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed me rambling about Rose Tico. And, you know, if you agree, cool. If you disagree, you know, let me know below. If you do think that, like, there could have been a way that they could have made her a villain and still, like, redeemed her, definitely let me know what you think that could have been like. Because I genuinely feel like there was a way they could have done it. But, you know, what they say, none of us got a crystal ball, and hindsight's always 20/20. Anyway, keep things light, rebellious. I'll catch you guys next time.